三つの棺。
はい。待つ。
ロックアイコンであり、
こんな話を知ってるか。狩りの途中で足に怪我をした男がいる。治療のあてのないサバンナの真ん中で足は腐り、死神が忍び寄る。
カルチャーの生みの親でもあります。
やっと迎えに来た飛行機に男が乗り、眼下に広がる純白の世界を見、雪をかぶった山の頂だ。この世界には人の運命を司る。
Edie. Don't you just love this new toothpaste with my dress? It's the new mint flavor crisp. Or do you prefer the regular crisp? I know both have cavity-fighting fluoride, but the mint flavor, I don't know, it just makes me feel so wild. Of course, the regular crisp makes me feel wholesome. Crisp makes me feel wholesome. Crisp makes me feel wholesome. What's this? Put the kitchen like none I've seen. Put a card in the slot and onto the screen comes a picture of just how your dish will look. Plus all the ingredients. No, Coke, the margarine vitamin.
Greetings, and welcome to the first episode of Bella's Modding Adventures. My name is Bella, and today I'll be talking about my journey through video game modding, specifically how I virtually inserted myself as a playable character in the game Yakuza Like a Dragon. Firstly, if you don't know what modding is slang for modifying, or changing aspects of something to create something new. Video game modding has existed for decades, and the changes can range from minor edits to revisions which alter gameplay entirely. Anyone can participate in this modding culture, whether they simply install something that someone else has made, become a fan of someone's modding work, or even create mods themselves. What if I put myself into a Yakuza game? The series has plenty of cameos of real-life people, and Yakuza Like a Dragon has an option of playing with an English dub.
Let's start a brand new age of heroes!
Yeah, I'm with you, Ichiban.
Someone putting themselves into the games, as far as I knew, hadn't been done before. I thought, this is what I'm going to do during the summer. I knew it would be a lot of work since I knew basically nothing about how to even start. On May 20th, 2021, I began by creating a 3D model of my head using FaceGen. I took photos of the front and side views of my face so that the program had references. I found and joined the Yakuza modding Discord for tools, inspiration, and a source of help if I needed it. The community provided extensive documentation of the files of the games, and since I played them on Steam, I could navigate through them to discover new things. I thought about which of the 7 playable characters I could replace in Like a Dragon, and decided on Eri Kamataki.
I'm Eri. I'm president of Ichiban Confections.
A powerful, optional party member with office supply-based attack skills that I constantly kept in the active party once unlocked. With my limited skills, I thought to just replace her character's head with mine and leave it at that. However, little did I know how ambitious I would become. I brought my generated head into Blender, a 3D program that I had never used before, and imported the file for Eri's head. I changed the scale of my head to fit hers as much as I could, and borrowed her neck, eyes, eyelashes, and inner mouth. I was learning all of this as I went, and it was like performing surgery with Google as a reference. I had to learn about bones and weight so that my head would even begin to move correctly. On June 6th, I successfully exported my first attempt at my head. All I had to do was import the files into the game and load up a save. However, the result was absolutely horrifying. My head was still way too big in-game, my mouth could not close correctly, spikes were coming out of my right ear, and neck flesh poked out of Eri's outfit. I had created a monster! It took 3 days of attempted mouth weight corrections and troubleshooting to finally get my head mostly working properly. During that time, I found a hairstyle and character job outfits that I could alter to fit my character better. A few days later, I decided to explore audio files and character data, where I would find the dialogue for things like battling on the street
The battle is on!
or exploring the open world.
Man, my back is killing me.
I changed my character's height from 170 centimeters to 155 centimeters to match real life. I gave myself glasses and earrings and replaced text instances mentioning Eri's name with my own. I went further beyond by using Audacity and the microphone in my room to record my own dialogue for several days. I first recorded lines for following the main character in the open world. Dude, slow down a little. Don't leave me behind! Then, once I was done, I recorded my voice for battle, providing unique dialogue for the different special skills associated with character jobs, such as the base clerk job for Aerie, "Hey, we're really counting on you," and others such as Idol, "We fight this with love," Dealer, "Let's take a gamble," Hostess, "An ashtray for you, sir," and Night Queen, "You fool." The Night Queen job in particular is out of character for me because I'm just too nice for it. I did a lot of yelling in pain to simulate status effects too.
Hey, welcome to Spaghetti and Goofballs podcast, a podcast about struggling, starving student and or freelance artist just trying to get by. I'm your host, Joshua San Nicholas, also known as Lonely Tofu Art. I recently was in a Zoom call with my cohort of fellow struggling student freelance artists, the Reception Crashers, to ask them a couple of questions like what they're currently working on or something they'd tell their younger selves.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, you. Thanks for taking the time out of your afternoons / night / day.
I'm so close. Don't trip in the dark on the way out of your chair, Josh.
The Reception Crashers and I are all primarily visual artists who work traditionally and digitally. I wanted to start things off with the simple question of what each of my friends were currently working on. This is Andy Portillo. He goes to Laguna College of Art and Design, part of the illustration program. A jack of all trades with observation, a man in pursuit of precision, and if he was a typeface, he'd be Helvetica.
Andy, what you working on?
I'm currently working on one of my illustrative paintings. It's of a basically a city that's floating on a rock with a landscape. Honestly, I think I can finish it by the time this podcast is over. I'm planning to. Should I show the camera?
Yeah, sure.
What Andy was sharing with us was a beautiful acrylic painting of a floating island in the sky, around the tops of what I could assume to be mountains. Atop this floating island in the sky was a couple of small buildings and a windmill. It's a gorgeous sunset scene with intense warm yellows and oranges, contrasted with blues to cool down the image and slightly make it more realistic.
So this is almost done. I'm just working on the windmill. I have most of the landscape done.
What are you using for it?
It's currently acrylics.
Further into the call, I wanted to get into some deep and abstract questions. On the more philosophical and metaphorical side of how I view art, I like to liken art to be like gardening, where there's a time of simply planting seeds, a time to just grow and do work before coming to a fruitful moment of harvest from all of the hard work poured into the process.
Do you feel like you're at like a time of like just planting seeds, or you're just kind of going through it and growing it, or is now kind of like a time of like harvest with your work?
Yes. I feel like I gotta think how many projects I'm juggling.
Would you say you're kind of like in like sowing? You're like sowing seed and planting, like growing it.
No. Yes and no. So currently, I'm juggling about 9 separate projects. Multiples for one single class. Some just have one big project. And each are at very different levels of finish. Like this one I'm working on, it could be finished within the next hour, and that's my harvest. And I gain the experience, and I gain everything that I learned from that. So that would be a harvest.
What I found fascinating about Andy's response was how he felt like he was almost a blend of all these different metaphorical traits in growing his art like a gardener. For him, harvest was more from a place of what he could learn for the next thing,